everyone to the Joint Legislative Audit Committee hearing this morning. We have a few House items that we have to take care of before we start exactly at 9:30. We want to adopt the election of a committee chair and adoption of committee rules. We have the JLAC committee here. The Secretary has indicated that we don't have a quorum yet, so he's going to ask for a few more moments so we can adopt these items.
You can just announce this.
I want to encourage all the JLAC members to please report to room 4202 as soon as possible so that we can take care of committee business. And if we can notify their offices so we can get a quorum and get started. Okay.
Oh,
That's what it says.
so we'll move around.
Right. We're just waiting for one more senator to establish a quorum, and then we'll get started. Madam Secretary, if you can please call the roll.
Assemblymember Gibson,
Present.
Assagian, Baker, Campos, Jones, Nazarian, Rendon, Santabell, Canella, Fuller, Galgiani, Lara, Lever, Roth.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Now that we have a quorum.
Now that we have a quorum, we want to elect a committee chair. We open the floor up for nomination.
So go ahead, say the rest.
Madam Chair has appointed me to serve as the chair. It takes the majority of the vote of the JLAC members here, and so at this time we'll take a motion. It's been moved in second. Please call the roll.
Assemblymember Gibson,
Yes.
Gibson, aye. Assagian,
Aye.
Assagian, aye. Baker, Baker, aye. Campos, Campos, aye. Jones, Jones, aye. Nazarian, Rendon, Rendon, aye. Santabell, Santabell, aye. Canella, Fuller, Galgiani, Galgiani, aye. Lara, Lever, Lever, aye. Roth,
Aye.
Roth, aye.
Okay. Thank you very much, committee members, for electing me chair. Secondly, we want to adopt the committee rules for the 2015-2016 legislative session. A copy of the rules are in your binders and been provided for you. The rules remain substantially the same to the previous rule, just with a couple minor changes. Rules 10 on page 2 seeks to clarify, and also Rule 30 on page 5. Again, members, I'll take the majority to pass the rules or to adopt the rules. Is there a motion?
Move approval.
Is there a second? It's been properly moved in second. Secretary, please call the roll.
Assemblymember Gibson,
Yes, aye.
Gibson, aye. Assagian,
Aye.
Assagian, aye. Baker, Baker, aye. Campos, Campos, aye. Jones, Jones, aye. Nazarian, Rendon, Rendon, aye. Santabell, Bell, aye. Canella, Fuller, Galgiani, Galgiani, aye. Lara, Lever, Lever, aye. Roth,
Aye.
Roth, aye.
Yeah, the votes for that rules have been adopted.
Rules have been adopted. Members, thank you very much for adopting the rules. We have a lot of work ahead of us with this session. We want to take the time to adjourn JLAC this meeting at this time. And then we're going to move to the oversight hearing. Thank you very much. We understand that the chair of higher ed, Mr. Medina, is on his way down. We'll give us a few moments for him to arrive. We did schedule this meeting for 9:30, so it's a little early, about 2 more moments, and then we'll get started. Good morning. We're going to convene the Oversight and Joint Legislative Audit Committee with Higher Ed. My name is Mike Gibson. I'll be the chair, and to my right, who will have an opportunity to introduce himself, will be the chair of Higher Ed. First, I want to take an opportunity to introduce some key individuals with us. Debbie Meter, who will serve as a chief consultant. Emily Tower, the committee secretary. I understand she's out ill today. And also we have Kayla Taylor, who will be subbing in for Miss Emily. So with that, the topic of today's hearing is the University of California, the inequitable and the pre-student funding at the university campus, and the university increase in non-residential enrollment. The UC system is one of the nation's most prestigious public institutions of higher ed and offers a wide variety of distinguished campus students for our students in California. In fact, it's the ninth undergrad campus at the list of the top public schools in our nation on the U.S. News and the World Report. Many budget discussions are currently taking place between the legislative body, the governor, and the university regarding the university's proposed increase in student tuition and fees and its cost structures, the state funding of the university. These issues will be focused for our future. These issues will be focused on our future hearings taking up by this budget committee today. When talking about the inequities in the students' funding and the increase in non-residential enrollment, I understand that there's multiple budget factors to connect with these issues and come into play. However, today I look forward to an in-depth discussion to understand how the university is addressing these inequities, pre-student funding on these campuses. I am also looking forward to understanding how the increase in non-enrollment affects our California students' access to USC campus. The communities in which I represent in Southern California has some of the highest concentration of minorities in the state. And I want to understand the eligibility of California resident students are being denied access to higher education at the UC campuses. Today we will hear about the transparency and also accountability issues related to the university's budget proceedings. The state auditor, I've identified a report issued in July 2011. She will discuss inequities in pre-students funding at the campus, particularly the disparity in funding at the campuses with higher proportionate of underrepresented minority students. We will get an overview of the legislative analysts for the university's current budget process, which will include the rebenching of funding shifts within the university system to improve transparency and ensure that students receive comparable funding and at the same level in the university systems. The legislative analysts will also discuss the increase in non-residential enrollment at certain university campuses. Because the campuses keep the tuition fees students pay, the higher fees paid to non-residential students has created an incentives for campuses to recruit more out-of-state students. Is this reducing the number of slots available for eligible California students? Has this policy created a new generation of unequal pre-student funding at the UC system in the campuses? I look forward to the discussion. Today, we will also hear from the president of the UC Student Association and the American Federation of Teachers Representatives. Finally, we will hear from the university's representative At this time, we'd like to have Chairman Medina of Higher Ed to opening up with a few remarks.
Thank you, Assemblymember Gibson, for inviting the Education Committee to join this hearing. As you know, the Committee on Higher Education has primary jurisdiction in the Assembly over the policies affecting our colleges and universities. I want to start today by recognizing the importance of public higher education. California's commitment to affordable, high-quality university system was transformative in my own life. It was the reason my parents moved to California originally back in 1948 when my father came from Panama to attend San Jose State University. It was the reason that I moved to Riverside back in 1972 to attend University of California at Riverside, the district I now represent. I was also a teacher for 35 years, and it was always my, I was always proud to see my students go on and attend UC, any of the UC campuses. I've consistently supported additional funding for all public segments of higher education. But I am today incredibly concerned about the UC fee hike, and I think the legislature has a responsibility to ensure that UC be transparent in its accounting and in its funding decisions. I also believe that our students, regardless of which UC campus they attend, should have access to high-quality education. And I want to say that I am deeply disturbed by the findings that I read in the audit's report. Today's Sacramento Bee has a headline, Latinos Widen Imprint in State Colleges. And in today's Sacramento Bee, the University of California at Santa Barbara joins, I think, 3 other UC campuses. Congratulations to UC Santa Barbara for being a Hispanic serving institution. And it joins UC Riverside, UC Santa Cruz, and UC Merced as being Hispanic serving institutions. And I applaud the UC system for doing whatever it took to do that. And I applaud UC Santa Barbara. But the disturbing part that's not in the front page of the Sacramento Bee, but is in this report from the analyst office, and which is, really kind of shocking to me, and I've only read the report a few days ago, is the discrepancy in funding that this audit brought out back in 2011. The discrepancy in funding in campuses, the per student contribution by UC to those very campuses that I just mentioned, to those very campuses that have the highest minority enrollment. And they are getting less funding per student than the other campuses. I find that very disturbing and not acceptable in the state of California. As a teacher, I am very aware, Serrano versus Priest. I think it was 1968. Serrano versus Priest said that unequal funding in the state of California to different districts was not acceptable. I think that this funding mechanism that UC is using is also not acceptable, and look forward to hearing UC's response to the 2001 audit this morning.